Good evening. Let me begin by thanking everyone who's joining us. We are coming together in this virtual environment for a simple yet important reason: to say thank you to the first responders who are working to keep us safe during this unique time. We're joined by participants from across North America, a great show of support for an amazing group of men and women. My name is Michael Masters, and I serve as the National Director and CEO of the Secure Community Network, or SCN, the official national safety and security organization of the Jewish community across North America. We work on behalf of the Jewish Federations of North America, or JFNA, and the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations. We serve as the official liaison on behalf of the community with federal law enforcement. Every day, the men and women of our first responder organizations go out to serve and protect the community. Law enforcement, the fire service, EMTs, our public health professionals, nurses, and doctors. Their jobs are tough on a good day, and they're even tougher today. Still, they go out every day, each night, right now, in squad cars, on fire rigs, and in hospitals across the United States and Canada. As a United States Marine and someone who still serves as a part-time police officer, my gratitude to these men and women runs deep. To all of you on the call who serve and who have served, we're honored that you're with us. We're going to keep this call short so we can quickly get to the reason we're virtually gathered, to raise a glass and say l'chaim to our first responders. We're joined on this call by co-host Julie Platt, a member of the board of JFNA, and Amy Kornbase, a board member of SCN. Thank you each for your great leadership. I'm thrilled that we'll hear remarks from the director of the FBI, the Honorable Christopher Wray, Art Acevedo, president of the Major City Chiefs Association and the chief of the Houston Police Department, is with us. He'll have a few words to share in just a moment. Also joining us are some dedicated first responder colleagues and longtime friends. Captain Pat Yost, National President of the Fraternal Order of Police. Chief Steve Castevens, President of the International Associations of Chiefs of Police. Sheriff Peter Kutijian, President, Major County Sheriffs of America. Chief Gary Ludwig, President of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. And Mike Sina, President of the National Fusion Center Association. And three of the most dedicated police chiefs in this country, true friends of our community and of mine, Chief Carmen Best of the Seattle Police Department, Chief Michael Moore of the Los Angeles Police Department, and Chief Peter Newsom of the Metropolitan Police Department of Washington, D.C. I also want to recognize the many security directors on the call, individuals who are working to keep our communities safe and secure on behalf of federations and organizations, great partners around the country. To the Federation executives and organizational partners, it's a privilege to work with all of you, and thank you for your leadership. Plus, we have a special guest on the line, Billy Crystal. I'll introduce him formally in a minute, but we're grateful to have him with us. Before we get to Billy, let me turn it over to Julie and Amy for some brief remarks.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to the thousands of you who have joined this call. You reflect the enormous gratitude we all feel for our first responders. And on behalf of the Jewish community, let me give thanks for each and every person who has put themselves in harm's way to protect us. As an officer of the Jewish Federations of North America and fundraising chair of our National Security Initiative, it is my honor to welcome you. We know it is because of our nation's first responders, the police, the FBI, Homeland Security, ambulance drivers, EMTs, firefighters, and so many others who respond when called, that we as a community are as safe as humanly possible. Before coronavirus, our community was under threat from attacks. From the murderous attacks on synagogues in Pittsburgh and Poway, we live with the reminders that people want to harm our communities and loved ones. And now with COVID-19, we see new threats emerge from groups that claim that Jews are behind this virus and that we must be made to pay a price for it. The threat is alive and well in our country. Every American is grateful to law enforcement, but we as Jews are especially grateful. You keep us safe, and we keep you in our prayers. You see catastrophes as a calling. God bless you for it.
I am Mamie Cornvay, a proud board member of Secure Community Network. Thank you, Julie, for doing so well, and thank you for your relentless efforts as Secure Community Network's distinguished fundraising chair. To all those on this call for law enforcement, thank you for what you do. You amazing people, you are our shield. It is sad that it takes a crisis to make people stop and realize just how much we depend on you. You take the risk that the rest of us simply do not have the skill set for. It is said that to serve is a calling. I know that because you answered the call. We sleep better at night. On behalf of the Jewish community of the United States of America, I want to thank you for yesterday. I want to thank you for today. Most of all, I want to thank you for safely delivering us to tomorrow. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Julie, Amy, thank you. Our community across the United States and Canada is lucky to have both of you and grateful for your support and dedication. Our yesterdays are stronger, our todays are richer, and our tomorrows are more secure thanks to both of you. It is now my immense pleasure to introduce a man who, while known for many imitations, is himself entirely unique. From ringside as Howard Cosell to Cattleside and City Slickers, from karaoke and When Harry Met Sally to consigliere and Analyze This and That, and everything before, in between, and after, from small screen to big, and from a stand-up stage to one on Broadway, whether it's a gig, sketch, routine, movie, or award show, if he's doing it, someone you stop and watch. You put down the remote. Whether you've never seen the movie or you've watched it a few dozen times, you can just check the algorithm on my Netflix account. I'm deeply grateful to Billy Crystal, a proud Jewish American, a huge New York Yankees fan, and an amazing philanthropist who is a big supporter of law enforcement. It's very kind of him to spend part of his evening with us to honor our first responders. Mr. Billy Crystal.
Thank you very much, everybody, and please sit down. Julie and Amy, thank you for your beautiful remarks. Michael, thank you for that lovely introduction. You delivered it exactly as I wrote it. Although you did leave out something that maybe a lot of people watching this right now do not know about me. I'm Jewish. My parents were Reform Jews, very Reform, which meant they bought retail and our Seder's were 10 minutes long. I grew up on Long Island going to a very liberal temple where our services were often performed by puppets and our cantor was the one and only Fred Rogers. At the reception on Friday night, known as an Oneg Shabbat following the Sabbath service, instead of the usual cookies and a Hamantash, they had honey baked ham and mac and cheese, which we loved, but you know, it is what it is. So much for the comedy portion of my remarks. Now, folks, listen, we have to be very honest that 5780 has been a bad year. Almost as bad as 7535 and every year between 1122 and 5647. The last 3 years, 5777 to 5779, weren't very good either, unless you had a store that sold Confederate flags and hydroxychloroquine. So I'm happy to be able to join you on this call. And Michael, thank you and the Secure Community Network for inviting me and arranging this. I went to the website, I said it right, the website, and it says, if we see something suspicious, we should say something. And they give a great list of things to look out for, but there are some other very suspicious things to report. And if you see any of these things in your neighborhood, you should report them. If you see somebody over 30 watching a TikTok video, I would report that. If you see a roll of pristine toilet paper sitting on the sidewalk, stay away, don't touch it, it's a trap. If you happen to see Jared Kushner near a microphone, report that right away. And if you see somebody wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers 2018 World Series champion t-shirt, I would be very suspicious. And if you see any of these things, call 911 or bang your trash can so loud, people will think you're a member of the Houston Astros. Now, our nation And everyone on this call, I'm sure, is going through a very tough time. But the thing about America is no matter what happens, no matter what threat we face, we always seem to find a way to stand together and prevail. It's part of who we are. It's part of what makes us Americans. If there's a challenge, we meet it. If there's a problem, we solve it. If there's a hurdle, we get over it. And this pandemic has proved to be a very high hurdle. In fact, this is a wall that we're paying for. It's led us to socially distance ourselves from one another, from our children, our grandchildren, our elderly, from coworkers, from our friends and neighbors, and from the stores, the restaurants, the theaters, and yes, the ballparks where we love to go. It's been really tough. And that's also why I'm glad to be here today, and I'm proud to be here today, and why I wanted to be here today. Because there's a special group of people whose jobs are always tough, COVID-19 or no COVID-19, no matter what, their job is to answer the call. No matter when, their job is to be on duty. No matter how risky, their job is to be there to protect us. Of course, I'm talking about our first responders, the police, ambulance drivers, EMTs, firemen and women, federal law enforcement officers and agents, and our doctors and our nurses on the front line. You know, our country just finished observing Police Week, and that's why this call, this thank you, is so timely. The police don't have a choice. When something goes wrong, they can't socially distance themselves. They have to go straight into whatever danger that they find. Ambulance drivers, EMTs, are often the first to be called when somebody is sick, when somebody with coronavirus needs to get to the hospital, or life is on the line, or a baby just can't wait. Firefighters can't work from home. You can't put out a fire on Zoom. When the bell rings, they go and they answer it. But isn't that the way it's always been? These men and women simply show up and do their tough jobs day in, day out, every day, no matter what. They were there on 9/11. They did it during Hurricane Sandy. They're doing it right now throughout the country, and especially to our friends in Michigan who are having a tough time with some terrible flooding. These are special people who should never be taken for granted. And that's why I wanted to be here tonight, to raise my simple voice, to honor them and to join you in paying tribute to them. In about a minute, I will raise my virtual glass. It's actually my Kiddush cup from my bar mitzvah from 1961, which has always been my sort of my good luck thing. And we're going to say l'chaim to the millions of first responders who serve our nation. Now, it's so great that so many of you have joined this call, and you're going to do the same thing. So thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you to first responders everywhere who give of yourselves so we can be free and safe. Michael?
Thank you, Billy. There is little to no pressure to MC an event where your key presenter is literally the host of the Oscars 9 times. So at a time like this, it means so much to all of our first responders in our community to hear that message. On behalf of all those on the call, thank you. Thank you for who you are, for what you do, and for the happiness and joy you brought to so many. You did it again tonight. A tough act to follow, so we'll have to follow it with someone who is fairly used to being tough. The Jewish community needs no reminder of the incredible work done each day by the 37,000 men and women of the FBI on behalf of our community and our country. The commitment to serve begins at the top with the director. His remarks are here today are representative of that work and dedication to our community. While the director couldn't join us live, this was important enough for him to film a message earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Christopher Wray.
Good evening. On behalf of the FBI, it's my great honor to recognize all our country's first responders and to thank you for your extraordinary courage and commitment amid the COVID-19 pandemic. You've stepped up and answered the call to service. You've placed caring for your community above yourself. And many of you have done so while juggling the all too familiar stresses of caring for your own loved ones amid so much uncertainty. Whether you've been out patrolling our streets, or keeping our grocery stores and pharmacies open, or treating our sick, you deserve our praise and admiration for your bravery and dedication during this extraordinary time. As FBI director, I've never been more proud of the work of our 37,000 employees all over the country and around the world, nor more proud of the efforts of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners to keep our communities safe during such unprecedented circumstances. Because those of us in law enforcement know all too well that criminals don't let up, not even for a pandemic. Every day, I hear testaments to the incredible work of our law enforcement personnel across the country. Just in the past few months, we've stopped criminals seeking to exploit the pandemic through cyber scams and healthcare fraud operations, arresting those who sell fake cures online and fraudulent personal protective equipment. We've disrupted terrorist actors, including a plot by a U.S. citizen who, motivated by racial, religious, and anti-government views in the Kansas City area, planned to use a car bomb at a hospital. We've remained vigilant in our efforts to prevent and prosecute hate crimes and to protect our most vulnerable victims, our children, from abuse and exploitation. Despite all the challenges posed by COVID-19, the American people expect us to be steady, to be on the job 24/7, and to keep them safe. I'm proud of our law enforcement men and women for remaining steadfast on the front lines, showing bravery in the face of uncertainty, and protecting our streets during this crisis. As with our incredible law enforcement partners across the nation, the FBI will not let its guard down, no matter the circumstances. We value our partnerships with federal, state, and local law enforcement, with our private sector partners, and with faith-based organizations, civic groups, and community leaders. Time and again, our common bonds have proven unbreakable, no matter what we endure. Thank you for choosing to act and to help others in a time of great need. I know I speak for everyone in the FBI when I say how grateful we are for your commitment and your service. So with that, I'll raise a proverbial glass and say with my deepest gratitude, L'chaim.
While the director couldn't join us, many members of his leadership team have. I want to recognize one of those individuals in particular, Assistant Director George Beach, with whom we work very closely. I want to introduce another close colleague and friend who will be speaking on behalf of our nation's first responders, Chief Art Acevedo, President of the Major City Chiefs Association, and someone who's worked diligently on behalf of our community. From the looks of it, it looks like he's in his squad car and working right now, which is no surprise to those of us who know Art. From working to protect our institutions and community members on everything from rising floodwaters to terror threats and hate crimes, Art Acevedo has been there when we needed him. His department's been there, and we're honored that he's here with us. He knows that we are here for him and all the men and women of law enforcement. Art will speak, and then get your glasses ready, because when he's done, we'll be ready to say L'chaim.
Okay, thank you, Michael, Julie, Amy, and everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Great. Well, on behalf of all the men and women of the Major City Chiefs Association, the 69 departments in the United States, 9 in Canada, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time to thank the men and women in blue and our firefighter colleagues and all first responders and everyone that's trying to keep this nation safe at a time when the challenges we face is not just a pandemic, but it's also the fact that hate is alive and well in this country. Anti-Semitic hate and hate of people based on the color of their skin and the religion they choose to follow. And I can think of no community as the great nephew of a concentration camp survivor, my great uncle Billy. We know we have to be vigilant. Just last year, almost 7,000 anti-Semitic crimes occurred in this nation. And what we've seen with Zoom and some of these other tech services that are being hijacked at times to promote hate, we know that the partnership between the Jewish community and the first responders and all communities of love that stand against hate is more critical now than ever. So from us to you, we raise your glasses to you and to Director Wray and the FBI. They're always under a lot of scrutiny sometimes, but we value their partnership. They're really important. We, at the local level, thank them for their partnership and all of our federal partners. So L'chaim from us, and don't worry, Billy Crystal, we'll beat you again sometime in the near future. and we won't have trash cans this time. Not to mention there were no trash cans at home when we beat you in LA. Yeah, okay.
I would now like to hand it back to Billy for the honors of why we're here, and he'll get the last word in. It wasn't easy with Chief Acevedo.
Okay, let's move it on.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And with that, this is my Kiddush Cup from 1961. And with that, please lift up your glasses wherever you are. Join me in the traditional Jewish prayer of thanks to God for allowing us to reach this special occasion, the Shehekiyonu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehekiyonu, v'kiyamonu, v'higiyonu, sovereign of all, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. Now let us toast and say to our nation's first responders everywhere on 3. 1, 2, 3, l'chaim.
Time. Billy, Yasher Koach. Thank you for being here. And to Director Ray, Art, and to our first responders everywhere, we honor you. Know that we're here for you. Thank you to all of you who have joined us on this virtual L'chaim, to our first responders. We thank you, and I know they thank you. May everyone be safe and healthy. Good night. Our call is now concluded.
Thank you.